It is a Wednesday night. Yeah, why not? Flinging a wee Wednesday this week. Christmas is coming up. We're obviously not going to be. Will we be doing a Monday club on Christmas Day? Probably not. So we'll keep up the usual quota of shows as best as we can. So we thought we'd fling in a wee Bhoycie bonus for you, and that would be a wee Judge versus Bhoyce episode this evening. Mark just telling his many fans there just that he's entertaining the public. I can see in the background. I like that, Judge. How are you, pal? You good?
I'm doing very well, mate. Well, a bit of exaggeration. I'm a bit depressed because of that football at the weekend, but I'm sure we'll go into that. What about you? How are you?
Yeah, jamming, mate. All good here. All good. I just thought we'll maybe freshen up the lineup. Folk sometimes like to see some faces they've not had the opinion of, particularly after bad results. That tends to be more keenness, I think, for people to hear what us lot have to say. So big thanks to everyone who's been watching recently. I think it was 10.6 thousand views for Saturday's PMP, a record for the bus. I think then the Monday Club was one of the top ever that we've had. I think it was 3,500. So these are coming in your droves. We appreciate it. Remember, give us a wee like, give us a share. And if you want to slag my hair, my clays, my opinion, I'm all for that as well. If you want to also become a Bhoycie Bus member like so many have, then we always appreciate that. And I know the big man who's famed for it, Tattoo Face 77, has been dishing out memberships before we even went live tonight. So a massive shout out to him and his continued support of the bus. But there's other members as well who consistently pay the $1.99 a month for free content. They just do it to support the channel and because we put in all that time and effort. So we appreciate that as well. Like Ali, Jim C, Ian McIntosh, Jim Dolan, David Kelly's not a member. That might be one of the gifted ones, I don't know. I'll go into the members gang anyway. Alistair Jack, Martin K, 420 somewhere. There's lots and lots of you, so we really appreciate it all. Obviously, we would always like to think that misery does sometimes love company, but I think we've been very consistent on the bus, Mark, albeit probably inconsistent throughout that as well. Just a joke. But we always like to be somewhere where you can speak your mind and be honest. Sometimes people don't want to hear that when they're in Celtics in a purple patch. They don't want to hear any sort of frank views. They just want to keep glossing up the success and ride on the crest of that wave. Whereas we've always tried to keep it a bit real. And I think when times get a wee bit tougher at Celtic HQ, I think the viewers will come and watch the bus for those frank views even more than maybe what they used to. Anyway, enough of that pish. Let's get into it. Oh, buysports.com, 12.5% discount. Need to get some of those soon. Choking for them. I'm having a fancy dinner tonight, though, mate. One of my own. You know one of the ones.
Right.
Poached eggs, mozzarella balls, double stuffed olives. It's going to be good, mate. I know.
Sounds
good
lovely.
to myself. It's great living on your own, mate. Need kids?
Of course.
I can afford to live like a
sounds fucking awesome.
My mates at work think I'm an absolute posh bastard, but it's just the way it is. Anyway, enough of that shite. Talk to me, Mark. Where is your feelings? The dust is allowed to be settled, has been allowed to settle a wee bit now. Your temper may have simmered slightly. Your anger may have simmered slightly. Where are you at on a Wednesday night after the weekend that was?
Well, I think it's settled like the ash on Mount Vesuvius, mate, to be quite honest with you. I still think the destruction's still there. I don't think anybody watching the game on Saturday would have been impressed with. Forget the ability, forget the tactical inability of the manager to change things. I think the effort put in by the players was just unacceptable. I can accept off days, I think we all can. We're all human at the end of the day, but for the effort and the passion on the park, I just can't accept that. I mean, that the goalkeeper getting jeered for catching a ball, to our two strikers not getting a sniff at goal. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, I don't really know if it's a mixture of Brendan Rodgers has been calling out players left, right, and centre in the media. Obviously, I think there's been a bit of a disconnect between the players and the manager. I think that was evident at full time when you seen Carl McGregor grabbing a few players, which I found a bit pathetic as well. I think they should have did that at half time and made an impact on the game. But then you see Brendan Rodgers going in the opposite direction. I felt that was a show of disconnect. You know, it's on the park because we don't see behind the scenes, but when you've got the manager going to select the fans and the captain getting the players together, it just felt like there was two different factions at play, and I thought that was evident for anybody that's seen that. And I think it's been quite obvious that since day one there's been a wee bit of a climate shock for some of the players coping with Rodgers' type of play. I think Rodgers has come into a winning team, and I think he's found it hard to adapt his style of play without upsetting the key players. And for day one, it just seems like it hasn't worked. And I think what we're seeing in the last few weeks is when things are going against Celtic, there's no plan B because we're not getting the players behind the scenes to come in and make a difference. But also, I think Brendan Rodgers is at a scenario now where he just can't change it. We've saw Brendan Rodgers, we've lifted up his skirt, we've seen what's there, and I'm not been impressed this season, boys. I haven't. I think some of the antics after the match, every time he's speaking, he's calling a player out or he's telling everybody he's angry. He told the written press and the TV press on Saturday they are the same thing, that it's just unacceptable and he needs quality, he needs this. Just regurgitating the same stuff he said after St Johnstone and Kilmarnock. And I feel like there's not so many times you can come away with this stuff, boys. So you've got to start producing the goods on £3 million a year at Celtic. You've got to start earning your corn, and bringing on Alexander Bernabei is a left winger to try and salvage the game. I don't really know where he was going with that. I mean, I think his substitutes for the last 3 or 4 games now have been very suspect, and you could just say it's the tools he's got at his disposal. But I look at the other way, boys. I feel like there's players that are playing well within themselves. This is a team that, against Hearts, Kilmarnock, and Motherwell, we went into the 3 games in the last minutes of the games needing an equaliser or a winner. In the 3 matches, it was 26 minutes extra time, and there wasn't one shot at goal or one corner kick. That's a desire within that team, and that's what you call not being able to make an impact at the side of the pitch. We spoke about pre-season and how Rodgers can impact the game for the side of the park, and that's how he earns his money. I've not saw that this time, boys. I feel like this time he's come in and he's like, he called him Rodgers Light. I'm calling him a shadow himself. I feel like he looks like he's lost his passion for the job. He's either scunnered because of the boards let him down in the summertime. He either feels that this whole trinity, the players and management, the fans and the board, that's fell apart. He knows it's fell apart. I feel like the players and management have got a disconnect. The board and the fans have got a disconnect. And I think the manager and the board's got a disconnect. It's just fell apart. And I feel like it's going to take more than 2 loans for Benfica B or a new left back to fix this problem. This looks like a deep-rooted problem just now that's just surfacing. And I tell you one thing, Rangers had their storm. Last night, Monday night, Jonathan mentioned the perfect storm. Now, they've been through their storm. They've sacked their manager. They've committed, won a group in Europe, won a cup, and I've got a chance to go to APA League. We're just hitting the eye of our storm just now. And we don't look like we're capable of getting out the other side intact. And that's my worry. That's the facts beared out for anybody that wants to take it on board.
I think the facts that you bring up are very, very interesting. I think the connotations of them is weird though. Not from your point of view, but how you juggle it right. Because if you've got Brendan right now, perhaps being a bit of an agitator, and it all kind of you could see the knock-on effects of that. It might be the reason he's brought on Frame in the Champions League, for example. Yes, brilliant experience with the boy, but also undeniably a signal to the board. I think the Bernabei one coming on again is just to highlight how ridiculous the lack of options he's got. But obviously, if he's not winning games, it's backfiring on a big time. You can win games and get these signals across, and you probably get the backing of the fans. Because this is the flip side. If you get Rodgers, say he is in agitating mode now, and he wants to be an agitator to what he thinks has been either false promises, although I can't I can't really give him any kudos on that because he said he was happy with it. So you're a liar then in that case at the start, although he always has been. But for me, if the board get rid of him, this is my crux of it. When you think about, or do what Rangers did, like you're saying, make a change, a forced change, and they all shake hands, and he goes someone else, and we get someone else in. The board are going to get someone else in that they want to be able to manage better, and they want to have more of a stranglehold of than what they will get off Rodgers. I would imagine going forward, albeit that fell flat on its face in the summer, boys. So maybe part that fucking idea for now and see how January plays out. But my biggest concern with the changes that could be made in the dugout side of things, and you're right to quote the Rangers upturn since they did make that change and they were proactive and they made the change to the manager there less than a year. Brendan's been here less than 6 months, only one window, and not really had. Well, he has had the opportunity, but he's not done it in the first window. So the first window is a failure on the board, failure on him, as far as I'm concerned. Does that then mean it's a toxic relationship going forward? Or do you really want Celtic to then, this charlatans that run it right now, getting even more autonomy in the football operation, mate? Which is what would inevitably be the next step. The next step from them would be getting in someone that they can dictate to window upon window. Now, I'm going to bring up David Kelly's point here, right? He says, Lawwell and his pals wanted Maresca. Right now, they look right. Firstly, that's very much hindsight. I don't think Maresca would have got the buy-in required from the fans at the beginning. I know Rodgers had a sort of 70 for it, 30 against it sort of split. But you need to be real here. Maresca would have been an underwhelming appointment that the first sign
unqualified.
And if he starts like Ange did a few years ago, there's no coming back. It would have been a disaster. So, yes, he's done well at Leicester now with hindsight. But secondly, Maresca at Leicester, I'm going to guess, had a wee bit more of a say in the players coming in. And if he didn't, he had guys way more qualified than what the Celtic manager would have in terms of who they are choosing to bring in that get forced upon him at Leicester if he doesn't get any say in it. So I think it's a false economy there, with the Maresca one, because I actually think it could be a hell of a lot worse. And my concern with how Celtic are going to try and get forward on this is either look like they cave to a manager, because it seems obviously we're reading the room that we're going, he's making signals there, definitely. We've heard these words. We've heard about the lack of quality coming in the summer and things. And if they totally flip their transfer strategy in January and bring in, let's say, for example, 3 or 4 27, 28-year-olds, that would look like they're caving to a manager, which I don't think long-term they want to be as their look, because that's not really what they're wanting to offer up, hence why they didn't want Rodgers in the first place. But I want the best team possible. I'm not sure if the board get their man as opposed to Dermot having his in there, albeit he wet the bed in the first summer. I think that was a lot to do with trying to build fan relations. You spoke of the Holy Trinity, Mark. The Holy Trinity he spoke of before, he had to win over the fans at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? He had to win over the supporter base because of the acrimonious departure that he had the last time. But he also didn't have the balls to try and win over the board to get what he wanted in the summer. So he was on two fronts. This isn't me defending him on that, by the way. That's his gift. He gets paid, as you rightfully point out, £3 million a year. But the Holy Trinity was broken at the start of this season because Rodgers had a certain section of the fan base to win back over, which I think he focused more on than the football department. And he's got a board that have not changed. Leopards never changed their spots. In fact, they've doubled up in their ranks by bringing in 2 different sons onto that board. So the message will be more continuous and the same. That Holy Trinity is a million miles away, pal.
Oh, definitely. I think his job's been made harder because I think the board didn't want him, and I think the fans didn't want him. Or at least sections of the board and sections of the fan base didn't want him. So you had to win them over, and I think the only way you can do that is by winning games. Take away his last maybe 4, 5, 6 games, and he was doing that. But things come into focus. The mist begins to lift when you're not winning matches. Bhoycie, folk look at things a lot clearer. And I think when you seen Kwon and Burnaby on the bench the other day, there, I think the idea was to win the match at half time and get some players on to get them in a short window for January. And see if it is the case, you have got a board telling the manager that he has to get players in the line for transfers, because Kwon and Burnaby, these guys are going to be getting on loan or getting sold in January. So I think the idea was to get them game time to remind them that they exist. You know what I mean? Because Burnaby and Kwon didn't come back into the team for no reason whatsoever. There was other options there. The Lagerbielke thing just stinks. I mean, the Celtic did their usual and told the newspapers that they're selling a player 48 hours after the score's a winning goal in the Champions League. Drops a guy out the squad altogether. Then they tell the press that he's getting sold, and that's what we've seen us. I'm going to say last season. We've saw that for years and years with this board. They're just so unattached to the fan base, unattached to reality when it comes to. They think they're doing a good job at Celtic. They're breaking records mostly because of the fans. The fans are the ones that are putting money into the club. We're the ones that are dragging the players out of the line sometimes. Adidas deals with kits every month. You've got a new training range. You've got kits. Adidas website breaking down with sales being so much in demand. You know what I mean? No Barcelona, no Real Madrid, no Chelsea. Celtic broke that website. You know what I mean? And that speaks for itself, boys. So that's a number of strips that we are selling, and we'll be made to believe that their business prowess is actually is what's made Celtic £75 million in the bank. No, it's been getting lucky with the transfer market. It's been a fan base totally buying in. It's been a fan base that have engaged with the manager, with the players for the last 2-3 seasons. They've bought every bit of merchandise, season tickets. We bought season tickets during COVID. We've been buying pay-per-view matches. We've been buying everything. That's mostly the fans. Adidas kit deal. That's actually a different deal for most retailers. With Adidas, you're not guaranteed a certain amount of money. It goes on shirt sales. You know what I mean? And that's Adidas is very. I think Man U were in trouble with it a few years ago. They had a bit of a problem, but so Celtic are keeping that. It's the fans that are keeping that deal as inflated as it is. Let's not pretend that the board have somehow turned into geniuses there. Like, this is the same board that wanted to hire Maresca, as you said, 100 days in charge of Parma, get sacked. Same board that wanted to hire Bernard Higgins, derail Angie's first season. Same board that's banning the Green Brigade, allowing the boys not to come back in. They're escorting fans outside the main stand for shouting and bawling at directors. See, when you're earning 2, 3, 400, £1 million a year, £2 million a year at Celtic as a director, you are a public figure. Don't sit in that stand in your comfy seat and expect the Celtic fans not to react when they think things are going badly. It's not all focused on the manager or the players. You kind of sit there and make decisions that are making Celtic weaker every window in, window out, and then expect no criticism. We had a manager saying 3 weeks ago, I told the board I wanted 4 players, and I still want 4 players. So that tells me he's asked for 4 players, whether they're named or whether they're not named, and he hasn't been given the tools. I'm going to be honest. Anybody that's on my Twitter will tell you I want Rodgers sacked. I've had enough of it. I was probably the most vocal backer of the man in summertime. No doubt about it. I wanted the guy, but I think I've took back my ex and I found out she's still a wee dirty bitch. I'm sorry. She's cheated on me again. She's made me feel like I was an idiot. And Brendan Rodgers takes a lot of praise for going to Ibrox and winning, going to Pittodrie and winning Tynecastle. But see all these matches, Bhoycie, we've not looked fantastic. I think we've been getting through results by having just that killer instinct with Kyogo or Mattarelli. But that's ran out. He's run out of juice. He's getting no more ideas. The squad's thin. The squad's bare. I understand that. But this has got COVID Celtic written all over it. This has got a management and players who are better than their performances show. And that normally means the managers know doing something right. See, when you see a full team of players who you know are better, it's normally the system or the relationship with the management and the players. There's normally a disconnect somewhere. And I don't think you can solve it until he goes. I don't think who we bring in is none of my business. That's for after we get rid of him. But I think if we don't make a change before January, we're going to be suffering behind Rangers, and we're going to have another window in summertime with a new manager, and we've got to be starting well again. We've got a chance to fix this window. We've got a group of players who don't buy into his tactics, a fan base who are week in, week out, begin to see the cracks. We've got a manager in the touchline who's no reactive. He's no proactive, and he's no reactive. We've got a manager who's sitting dormant while the club buy players behind his back, and we've got a manager who looks a shadow like he was 4 years ago when he left Celtic. This all can't add up to a successful season for Celtic. We need to look at it just logistically, Bhoycie. What's happened? Take away the tactics change. There's only the biggest loss we had in the summertime was the manager, right? We had opportunity and the means to bring in somebody better, and I thought we brought in a better manager, but he's either made a group of players who don't buy into his vision, or he's just met his match where he can't actually get more juice out of this team. Because this wasn't a team that was dying on its arse. This team was up and running. Alistair Johnson was playing well, Hatate was playing well, Kyogo was scoring for fun, McGregor has always been a bit either a 9 or a 7. He was never a 9 every week. But you had that Carter Vickers, albeit fit, outstanding. Greg Taylor was looking at a good Celtic player, albeit again should have been upgraded. And he's not the boss to tell the board, I want a new goalkeeper, I want a new left back, I want them now. Okay, so he's failed on that front. He's not got the authority, he's not got the stature within the dressing room to change the culture. And he's not got, by just looking at on the stands, he's not got the ability just now to fix what's happening on the pitch. And where do we go for there? We're going to wait until December 31st when we're 3 or 4 points behind Rangers and they've got a game in hand. Because I don't think we'll be winning another match this year. I don't think we'll beat Livingston. I don't think we'll beat Dundee. I just don't know where our next goal's coming from. I look at it, I think Kyogo couldn't score in an empty net. I think always absolute pish. Matt O'Reilly's trying everything. McGregor's running about like a dog chasing his own tail. Defence is shocking. The goalkeeper's ridiculous. I just don't know where the next victory's coming from. And I feel like COVID season, I think in hindsight, for some folk, but the COVID season, the biggest mistake Celtic made during COVID was no acting while with the chance to fix it. And if we can act quickly, which we won't, if we can act quickly, we can get into January feeling fresh. Players begin to maybe see a new culture coming, a new manager coming, a new style of play that might suit them, and maybe get some players in that can complement that. I don't think you can. The ball's gone now. We can't change the ball. The ball's gone now, boys. Right? We can protest. We can go and shite in the front doorstep. Nothing's going to happen, right? But one person we can change, and it's the manager. I think there's a lot of things that's played at Celtic just now that aren't meeting standards. And I'm sorry if you were actually just looking at if this was Neil Lennon took over Ange Postecoglou's team, he would be getting slaughtered. It's only took the last 2 games for anybody to say a word against Brendan Rodgers. And I said last week, you can open your advent calendar every week. It's the board's fault, it's Mark Lawwell's fault, it's Peter Lawwell's fault. Eventually you come to the door, it's Brendan Rodgers, mate. And for me, it's staring right in my face that he's the main thing that's changed. His culture for the club, his tactics, his philosophy, everything, he's changed. Which you would do as a manager, but the players aren't buying into it. The fans are dreading the football. The fans are dreading match days, Bhoycie. You're dreading match days. You're not going to games and you're 1-1-0 and you're going, that was a good game there. St Johnstone was a real sore to watch. Then the following week, pre-match against Kilmarnock, he was asked about the 1-0 loss in August. He said, "Oh, we're a far different place to what we were then. We're a far better team." And then goes out and gets beat 2-1. You know what I mean? And you need to back up, boys. You can't just sit there and give bravado and sit there with your £800 suits on and nobody question you, mate. Because I saw a man in the touchline on Saturday there, clueless, no knowing what to do, clueless. There was no notepad in his hand. There was no gesture to the players. It was just somebody just like me and you, just watching for the sidelines and wondering how the fuck we're going to fix this. And there was no answers.
I think that's fair. How to word it? I think he's done very poorly so far in terms of loads of things, not just style of play. The style of play is the one that gets me the most because you absolutely hit the nail on the head where I'm dreading watching games. And that's before the defeats. I think I said it 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I sat down the last 10 minutes when I think we were level in this game. I think we were getting beat. And I sat down and watched. Usually I'm quite animated when you watch football, you know the score. I am an armchair supporter, as everyone knows. And but usually 10 minutes to go, it's getting that intense way. Need a goal. You find yourself naturally, the TV's on the wall up there, you find yourself naturally sort of drawn to the television. So
Yeah.
that means you're standing, you just happen to you're like that's just a byproduct of your investment in the game. I remember sitting laid back and I said it to Terry on the PMP that day. I said, I sat back and watched the last 10 minutes on my couch because I knew the outcome. I knew we weren't scoring.
Oh,
I
you
had
gave
no
up.
faith that we were going to score. And that's kind of been commonplace going forward. But we also need to be real here. Take Brendan out, put someone else in. What fucking difference does it make? Because what we've clearly seen with Postecoglou was there was a change in the mindset of Celtic above briefly. It was based on the fact, I think, the guys he wanted. But Celtic had a shortage of players, if you remember, as well. The squad had been cleared out. They made fortunes with your Ayer money, you know, your Frimpong money, all that sort of thing. Ryan Christie. Remember, he went for 3 million, only 4 months left in his deal. Cheers for that, but not that we get to see it back. Edouard, 18 million. But there was a shortage of players, so they had to be proactive that summer. But it goes against the game. It's not what they do. They reverted. January looked ambitious. The first January under Postecoglou as well. Looked like we've turned the corner here. We had players lined up for that January the 1st. When when Andrew's going, these guys are international players and they're shit hot. One's worth about 1.5 million. The other one's 1.5 million. Hatate. Maeda, they still got on loan for the first 5 months so they could pay the 1.5 million at the end, if you remember. And who was the other one in the January? Matt O'Reilly was 1.5 million because they didn't shell out for Riley McGree. Thank fuck. That's brilliant though, but that's not the point. The main target, we lost out to Middlesbrough. Whether he's a prick now in the mind's eyes of Celtic fans is fine, but the top target was Mr. Matt O'Reilly, came in for a third of that from League One. Think on that. Then we moved on to the summer 21. And it's all been Pete Thompson's then in terms of transfer windows for me. Absolute shite. What is the difference going to be in January if Rodgers isn't there? A better manager because he's a fresh face, or a manager who gets just as frustrated, just as quickly as Postecoglou did, just as quickly as Rodgers clearly has. In fact, even quicker was Rodgers to get frustrated with it. You're putting in a puppet, mate. This is my problem with, if we want to, I mean, we can't spend 7.5 million on a player without half the fan base revolting at you for even coming up with the idea. They might have changed their tune now because results aren't going well. But trust me, when things are going well, it was, don't spend that, that's crazy money. But fans now want to spend that to sack Rodgers and bring in someone else to sit in with the exact same backroom staff, the exact same cherry-picked coaches, the exact same recruitment team that will never, none of these guys, whilst you say the board can't be replaced, Matt, none of these guys are getting replaced all around the manager either, it seems. Because Postecoglou took on the exact same backroom staff as well. The recruitment's all picked for him. We got told that Mark Lawwell, it was non-negotiable for Ange for it to be Mark Lawwell to come in. I think I read an article on Video Celtic and he goes, there's no evidence that despite him being part of the City group, he had any involvement at Yokohama. Do you know what I mean? So my biggest worry would be, what would be the benefit of bringing in another puppet who, guess what? When you look, just forget it's Rodgers for a second. Because I think we did this with Gio. I said this about Gio Van Bronckhorst, right? When he was at Rangers. Like, take yourself out and go, they got rid of a manager who'd won 7 out of his first 7 trophies there. Left, went to English Premier League, 2 5th place finishes. They sacked him after 5 months when they were top of the league. We would look and they brought in someone else with the exact same shitey setup and thought they'd do better. Of course, it's the whole thing stinks. And the only argument I can make for Rodgers, and trust me, I'm turning a bit as well in terms of what he's doing on the park, because if you can't find a way to change it, that's on you. But at least you've just got that hope. He might be the only one in there who will be an agitator while he's in the role, because his ego won't like this. Anyone else that comes in, mate, they are taking their spoonful of sugar off the board, and that's it, mate. And everything else is forced upon them. The coaches, the recruitment team, the money that won't get spent, and then let's see how that plays out. And I think we're hamstrung with that, pal.
Well, I think their success for the last 10, 15 years has been in spite of the board's meddling. So my hope will be that we can bring in somebody who can bring success in spite of the board. Same as Rodgers the first time, I thought he, in spite of the board's constant meddling and with transfers and all the rest of it, he's managed to be successful. And I think Ange as well. He brought in players that were cheap. Bhoycie. That was why he was allowed to do what he wanted. You know what I mean? And all right, Starfelt and Kyogo were big outlays at the time, but most of them were cheap. And Jota and Hata and Carfax were on loan, but they were bankers. You know what I mean? You make your money the next day on the guys. You know what I mean? So I think the board are okay to let managers do what they want as long as it's cheap. I mean, Mark Lawwell, what qualifies him? He's got zero football credentials, zero. He's
But it
no
doesn't
played
matter.
football.
Ange asked for him. Mark, Ange passed the call glass for him. They were giving the manager his tools, remember? That's what they're trying to convince you of.
Mate, I went to school with a boy. I didn't think he was even playing football for the school team. So it's this into somebody that's got football away through their veins.
He had a harder paper round than you, sir. He had a harder paper round than you.
And that body patch, what the head he's got on him, man. But so the funny thing is, I've seen one photograph of him, and it's sitting with the trophy for last season. And I seen one more photograph of him, and it was in the director's box at a match. I just saw the guy anywhere. He's never in amongst player signings. He's never in amongst statements, nothing like that. He's been kept quiet for a reason, boys. I think he's not good enough for the job. He's been shoehorned in there. He was a Man City. He was a head of player relationships or something at Man City, and we try to make it like he was in charge of the Man City setup for recruitment. That wasn't his job. His job was supposed to be like, I don't think he was making players more comfortable or something like that when they came here. I don't think he was like a scout. But I don't think Ange Postecoglou asked for him. I really don't. I think the guy's clueless. I mean, I think he brought in 19 players, and I think the only one that gets a game for Celtic is Palmer.
What manager does well in that environment, Mark?
None. And Palmer's shite and all. I just want to say that. Palmer's absolute dog meat. If Haksabanovic can't get a game for Celtic, I don't know why this guy can. No, but this is what I'm saying. I think it's somebody in who's going to win in spite of that. Because I think if Andrew's still here now with the players, I think we'd be playing better football. We'd be winning more games. We'd be scoring more goals. I still think we'd be hamstrung with the same board, but we're taking somebody in that can get the best out of the players. And I don't think if you asked any of the players, no matter who they are, if you met every man in public and you asked them, look, is he getting the best out of you? They would all say no. They would all say no. And that's the acid test for a manager, is getting the best out of a team, getting the best out of players. And I don't think he's doing that. I don't think his tactics are exciting the fan base. I don't think his recruitment was strong enough. He's the one that's supposed to chat the door and say, look, where is these players? The way Ange did, he said...
I agree with that.
Transfer deadline day, he said, I'm expecting 3 players in today. An hour later, he turned around and says, oh no, end of business. An hour or 2 later. So he knew early on that there was no players coming. Why was he not on the phone to his contacts? Get me this, get me that. Is there anybody you've got? And I'll tell you another thing. We've known since at least this time last season that the players we had, like Kyogo, Hatate, Maeda, if they were on form, they would go to this Asian Cup. So we knew we were going to lose at least half our team. And we're sitting now in December 20th thinking, who are we going to buy to replace these players? Now, luckily, and Kyogo are shit. No. Well, O's always shit. Hatate's not playing, and Maeda's just back for injury. So I can't see any of the 4 getting picked anyway, luckily, right? But Maybe Maeda.
Maeda's always in, mate. He's the boy.
That's the thing. So was the plan to go like that on January 31st? Like, let's see who's out there. Was that the plan? To get into a key time of the season, right after a derby match that could make or break or define your season, as every one of these matches do. That we didn't sign one player. Well, put it this way: we're expected to lose 2 strikers and a left winger. We didn't buy any strikers, right? So we didn't plan for this in summertime. That's a fact. There's no denying that, because
I completely agree.
even if we brought in a third choice striker who played Dundee, you would say at least there was some plan. If we brought in a left winger to replace Maeda, I don't think so. Who else? Hatate, a number 6 to replace Hatate's creativity. Number 8, sorry, to replace Hatate's creativity. No. So there was no forward planning whatsoever. This was just, let's get to January 31st and we'll start out again. December 31st and we'll start out again. But Rodgers is obviously sat down in these meetings. They've not said to Rodgers, look, don't get involved in these meetings. This is our transfer business. Just you carry on. He's sat in. They've said to them, this is Angie's targets. This is what we want. He must have at one point said, look, I know we're going to be losing 4 or 5 players in January. So get the players in just now for January, get them some game time. And if they've said no, that's not part of the plan. And he sat there and took it. He sat there and took it.
He's complicit from that point of view. I said that very early.
I think more so. I think he's the board won't change their spots, as you say. The board is a board. That's it, right? But he's sat there and said on day one or whatever it was, or how impressed he was with the setup behind the scenes, the transfer setup.
He said literally the recruitment department was the most.
Well, that's bullshit. And then last week I was watching the telly, and he said Mickey Johnson is the most talented player ever to come out of Lennoxtown. That's what he said. Did you see that interview?
No.
No, it's Sky Sports. I did. And then Sky Sports before the Kilmarnock game did a 10-minute interview with Mickey Johnson and said, "Look, would you make it?" Rodgers saying that, and he's like, "Oh, it's good for my confidence. It's good to hear, but I want to win matches for the team." He said he's the best player ever to come out of Lennoxtown. That's what he said. See, people believe that.
James Forrest will be greeting.
Well, what about Kieran Tierney, Carl McGregor?
Pish. They're shit.
I mean, how insulting to your intelligence is that? And let's look at the COVID season. Players that didn't want to play for him, for Lennon. Players disillusioned. Youth players want to go out the club. Look, we've got Vata, the next big hope, seemingly. He can't wait to go out. Players disillusioned. Fans pissed off.
But that's been like that before Rodgers took. We've got to be. That's a common theme I think we've seen.
But the thing is, Bhoyce, there's still no. He creates the pathway, and that's what's frustrating players. He creates a pathway. He can bring him into the first team. He's not being told after board who he can and can't play. I don't think it's go that far yet, right? But although it wouldn't surprise me, because it looks like he's just getting his belly tickled. But so we are seeing that just now, right? It's got hallmarks of COVID all in it, and I think, what's it say?
Great man, manager. At least he chats to the lads at lunch though. That's an O'Reilly quote, wasn't
it? He's only a player that I think you could say is kicked on. But I think O'Reilly's ability probably is such that given game time he will kick on. You know what I mean? I always say that Neil Lennon would destroy any player eventually, right? I think Rodgers is doing the same. He's destroyed Kyogo. He's destroyed Greg Taylor. I think he's destroyed Arthur Johnson. I think he's destroyed Hatate's confidence at the start of the season when he said he wasn't working hard enough. Maeda looks half the player he already was. Abada, we've not saw him yet. I just think that there's no one player I think that is looking forward to go to training. My dad said he watched a video the other day of the players training. Said every one of them just looked pissed off. Every one of them just looked like they didn't want to be there. And I think that happens. Like, to them it's a job, Bhoycie. To them it's a job. And see if you're not happy with results, with the training. I've seen plenty of interviews with players and I talk about managers I've played with before. And I've seen them all saying a few times things like when they come in, he has this big reputation, but we just didn't buy into him. We just didn't do it. And that happens. That don't think because we're fans at Celtic it's all about love and joy. See behind the scenes, they all dislike each other at times. They all piss each other off, and they're still human beings. I think Rodgers has maybe come in and he's maybe tried to change too much. And I'm all for the guy playing his own system because it's been successful.
I don't think he's changed enough.
No,
That's what I think the problem is.
No, I think he's changed too much on the park. He's changed far too much on the park. I think instead of, I'll give you examples why. The goalkeeper takes 4 or 5 seconds before he throws the ball out. That was instantly before. The left backs are playing the ball to the centre backs. They're taking 3-4 touches before they're taking the ball to Callum McGregor. That was the first touch the last time. The ball's gone wide after 15, 20 passes. That was after 4 or 5 passes before. The ball goes out for a throw in, and we're swapping takers. We're taking 5, 10 seconds. That was instant before. Corner kicks were getting taken.
Who's coaching that, Mark? Listen, please don't take this the wrong way. But just listen back to what you're saying. Do you think defenders are being told to take 3 or 4 more touches before releasing the ball? You think the throw-in, they're swapping the ball for a specialist throw-in taker to take the throw-in to delay or what?
Do you remember?
What's the benefit? Like, I don't get it.
Well, do you remember Rodgers' first season? Rodgers does a lot of mansplaining. He likes to tell you what he's doing. He said that what he does is he draws teams in to make them make mistakes and commit positions, and then he plays when about them. He's not changed his tactics. Football's evolved. Every team presses now. Every team's used to pressing. Whereas before it was left to right, left to right, left to right. Some striker would move out of position. We'd hit the ball by him, and before you know it, there's 7, 8 players changing about the park, and we're finding spaces.
Is Brendan Rodgers playing the same formation as what he played the last time he was here?
No, I don't think he's playing the same formation. I think his philosophy is the same though.
I think he's caught in a hybrid, Mark. This is where I get to the stage where I go, see, for me, whoever the manager is, you go in, doesn't matter who was here before, you be bold, don't you? Like Bhoycie, the most recent example. But you go in, like O'Neill, when he came in, went 3-5-2, it doesn't matter what's been before or what these guys are used to. This is what's going to bring us success. I think he's got caught in a hybrid. I think he's almost playing the same Ange formation almost, but with this Rodgers sort of mentality, and it's just not working. He should have completely went all out what he wanted to do. But see, when you've not got any backroom team, getting that message across on your own is harder, particularly when the players aren't always looking for that change. Now, let me tell you very quickly before folks say Ange came in on his own. We know that. But the players were desperate for something fresh, desperate for something new at that point in time. So they were all ears because they needed hope. There was not the same scenario here. Rodgers, though, I think, shat the bed a wee bit there as well, mentality-wise. I think, again, it comes down to Mark. Didn't want to upset the apple cart too much. Didn't want to upset fans. Didn't want to upset a board that he'd fell out before too much. Didn't want to upset. And by that is weakness. I can't give him a pass on that. And see if he wants to turn the screw now. Well, it's about fucking time you found your bollocks. And it's a phrase I used many times before the window shut in the summer, find your bollocks. Not just for transfers. But to me, I don't think he's made the wholesale changes that you think. I think he's not been strong enough in the courage of his own convictions, his own beliefs in his own system, just to go in, do it your way, all out, and if you've got a team around you, that makes that message getting across easier. I don't feel that I think he's went the halfway house with the team right now. Ange formation, Rodgers kind of slower, more possession-based setup, and it's just not working.
One foot out. But see, the thing is, the biggest criticism I've got is we've lost our intensity. Now, that's Rodgers.
I agree.
That Rodgers does.
How would you coach that?
Well, you don't uncoach it because the intensity was there last year and the season before that. He's took away the intensity.
But was it in the last 3 months of the last season?
No,
you weren't happy with the football. We need to be fair. But
no, I wasn't happy at all. But sorry. I think in general, the last 24 months, I think, to be quite honest with you, there was a lot of intensity in Celtic's play. Even when we were only winning matches, and there was a certain kind of speed about play, speed about thought, and all the rest of it. And I don't see it, and that seems to be being totally took out the team. I think we're now sitting 5 months into the season, and he's not got a clue who his midfield should be. He's not got a clue who his defence should be. He's not got a clue about finding the best formation to suit Kyogo. He's not got a clue about getting somebody to overlap Maeda. He's not got a clue about getting Arthur Johnson up the pitch further. Not got a clue. There's no indications so far that he's addressed any of the problems. I think every corner kick, he sat and said a few weeks ago, the penalty kicks is a bit of concern. We're going to fix that. 4 days later, we got a penalty kick at City Park and we missed it. I'm not saying he didn't go and work on that, but this is the things he's coming out and saying things all the time, and he's not backing them up. Like Kilmarnock, Rugby Park, we're a better team than we were the last time, and he goes out and plays a worse game. Personally, I think it might take December 30th for a few folk to totally see what's going on here, but I think December 31st, we don't sit top of that table. We don't. Whether we get games in hand, they're going to be in top as a game in hand.
And the second, you would change the manager on that basis?
No, I'd change him just now. I'm going to give my training session. I think the common denominator and all my complaints about Celtic is the manager just now. The board, there's no point. We spoke about the board and they will spoke about it. Yeah. The board's not going to leave them more because I don't buy Adidas shorts. But that's not going to go right. But if the manager goes tomorrow, the players who we all know, I don't for a fact. Just watching that. What do you make of that?
What do you make of that, the players, Mark? What do you make of that from that? Where do you think their attitude is? Because I want to come to you on that, because that's the next bit of the conversation I want to take you to is, let's look at when it comes to players like Kyogo, for example. We all love him, and it's great. He's a happy-go-lucky character, and he's loved playing for Celtic. But look how many games he is without a goal right now. And look how lack of even touches in the part. I would love. Remember, you quoted as the amount of minutes that we had in injury time, where Rodgers, needed to make a change, and he did in 26 minutes. I think he said. How many touches has he had in the last 10 games? Or how many touches he had in the ball when we needed something to happen? There's got to be his drop off a cliff in form is actually greater than what I think personally from the last 3 months of Angie's tenure to now isn't as big a drop off, I don't think, in form as people would imagine. I honestly don't. I think the last 3 months of last season, it was the bare minimum was getting done. It was getting done, but the magic wasn't there. That cup final to me, I mean, you look back at that and you go, fucking hell. You could put that cup final, the Scottish Cup final, in any weekend this season and it would have fitted in fine. And to me, they're better personnel then as well, incidentally. Now, on top of that, when we look at players drop off, Alistair Johnson comes to mind. His form's dropped off a cliff. These guys need to also want it, Mark. It cannot just be everything is a scapegoat. And it sounds like I'm making a complete case of the defence for Rodgers here. But I'm just so lost in the fact that this guy's came in with the record he's got and had such a negative impact on absolutely everyone. The judge is away for a toilet break. That's fine. It leaves me to talking pish while he's taking a pish. But this is what I don't get, is players' form falling off a cliff or not understanding the system. It's on them to do that. If these players were as good as we thought they were 12 months ago, how come they can't adapt whatsoever to anything new? Or if there's a resistance to it, where's that resistance coming from? Because I can't imagine a guy coming into a new job, regardless who they are, whether you like Rodgers or not, coming into a new job would be nothing but desperate for it to work, particularly when it's one that he walked out on and didn't get a lot of love for it. So where does it come from that players just, they don't want to work for it, or they're disengaged with it? How much of a chance has he been given? with no backroom team, with players that seem to, for whatever reason, go, it's not the Ange way, don't like it. Is that how big a footprint it is that Ange has left in the snow, to be topical? I mean, is that what it is? Is it that big? I hope you washed your hands, young man. Is that? I take you can still hear me. I mean, there's a lot more onto it when you look at the players. I go, well, your form had kind of dipped under Postecoglou towards last year. I remember we did I'm a fuck doing one this season. A watch along, and we got beat 4-2 at Easter Road. But I remember the comments at the time, watching it live, right? And it was, you could see this performance coming. That's what everyone was saying at the time. We could go back to it, you'll see so many folk going, this has been coming. And I just wonder why the players there, it was never going to be Ange. Some of them must have had a whiff that he was going, right? Some of them must have had a whiff of it.
Aye.
What is it they're looking for? What is the sea change? Do they just, what is it? If it's not Ange, then we just don't play for you. Because see, to me, if that's the case, everyone is going to fuck off. Because the luxury you get is to play for Glasgow Celtic, not playing for Ange Postecoglou, not to play for Brendan Rodgers. You know, go on and on and on. It's not about that. But what frustrates me is the drop-off this season seems to be from the likes of a Kyogo. Let's talk about him if you want. But guys like him don't have a replacement. You don't have someone to come in and challenge him for the place. O isn't challenging him for a first-team role, right? So he's not got that panic about him. See the difference between great and good. Larsson never had a challenge to his jersey. That's good. It doesn't matter. Larsson also would go, see, to be fair, I never went 8 games without a fucking goal. Doesn't matter who. And then whether that was John Barnes, whether that was Joseph Venglos, whether it was, you know what I mean? Like, look through his spell. And this is what frustrates me. Guys like Kyogo, it's up to you as a senior pro. Everyone thinks he's a wee boy. I think at times as well. He's 28, approaching his 29th birthday. It's time for, if he is your talisman, where are you when the going gets tough? Because see, when the going gets tough, often in life we find, Mark, the tough get going. So it's time for guys like him to also start trying to get yourself adapted to whatever the system is, no matter who it is in charge. Whereas Brendan Rodgers or fucking Marc Cairney, it doesn't really matter. You're getting very well paid on a brand new contract just given him the summer. And I think if his demeanour or his personality wasn't that of Kyogo, we would look at a striker who just got his biggest payday, taking him into his early 30s in the summer, and we'd be going, what did you make of that, Judge? No focus on it whatsoever. He has got one more goal, I think, than Dessers, that numpty at Rangers right now this season. Now, if it wasn't Kyogo, it was another player, we would all be sitting going, hold on, he just got his biggest payday of his life off us in the summer, and now isn't playing what? Because it's a new manager. Discuss.
Well, with the same thing with Samaras, he only played when his contract was due up. You know what I mean? And
Samaras got me with it though. Samaras was cool.
Samaras is a big handsome bastard, and also
don't bring Samaras in it. You're ruining my argument, mate.
No, but it's true. I mean, I think if Kyogo, I think you find players out when the going gets tough. See, I think that a few players found out this season when it's been getting tough, including their captain. I've always said that the captain for the COVID season was Carl McGregor. Scott Brown only played 3 or 4 months, if you're lucky. And then we all know what happened on the park there. No leadership, no drive, no determination. And we're finding that this season. Carl McGregor's a 8 out of 10 when Celtic won 5-0. When Celtic are struggling, it is few and far between to call the team through. People could disagree with that if they want, that's up to them. But Kyogo, I mean, Dessers, the Rangers fans saying that they would drive him to the airport now. He scored 1 more goal. And see the 1 goal in 12 games, it was a tap-in against Aberdeen in a 5-0 victory, or 6-0 victory. It's not like he skinned 3 players and put in the tap bag. It was a tap-in for 2 yards out. I think he's fallen downhill, but I do blame the manager for no finding a system to give him more opportunities. But Bhoycie had a volley that I could have scored last weekend there, and he miskicked it altogether. He had a shot at goal as well. He just hit the ball right into the keeper's hands. And this is it, you know what I mean? You can't just because he's a nice guy, just pretend that these things aren't happening. Aye, you get a 5-year contract, probably on increased terms, and he's down tools. That's what you could say. You could say that. I'd say the exact same thing about guys in Maeda. Possibly the same thing about McGregor. A 5-year contract for a guy in his 30s who's played too much football. That was a bad move by the club. I really do think. I mean, if he's sitting at 35, 5 years down the line, and he's still the captain at Celtic, we have not done our work. We have not recruited Bhoycie if he's still a captain in 5 years.
40 grand a week will still work. Was it a 5-year deal he signed in summer?
5-year deal. 5-year deal.
So 5 years takes him 35, and the rumour is him and Kyogo both exceeded the Larson wage. I think Gravison might still hold the record, believe it or not. I think he was 45. I think I forgot that in the summer.
Well,
I think Gravison was on more. But I think they're over 40 grand a week each.
I think none of the three deserve that. None of the players that deserve that kind of money. I really don't. Well, saying that,
they do, mate. You can't. Yeah. It's not that they deserve it, but you need to. At the end of the day, it's horses for courses. That's just football. Do you know what I mean? I know.
That's football. That's football. But nobody wanted them either. So like we had to go down that road. We could be paying 50 grand a week to the very, very top A or 3 in terms of recruitment. You know what I mean? We could be saying to a player, "Well, you going to Wales for 35 grand a week, 40 grand a week to be second choice. We'll give you 40 grand a week to be first choice." They could have did that. Because 40 grand a week in the EPL, the EPL's full of guys on 200 grand a week. But see, the vast majority, maybe 80%, are on 40, 45 grand a week. They're not on 200 grand a week, Bhoycie. It's only the stars that are on 200 grand a week. Your number one strikers, your star left back. Most of them are on 40, 45 grand a week. Still £2 million a year. You know what I mean? That's it. That's the wages down there. So we could have, if we wanted to, we could say to a guy who's got to Wales, okay, you're a free contract. They give you 35 grand, we'll give you 40. We'll give you 45.
Yeah, of course.
But we don't do it. Our fans are scared to spend money. Our fans are
scared as well. I agree with you.
The fans are the same fans who were sitting raging when the board mentioned Everton twice during the AGM are the same fans that are telling us spending £10 million a player isn't a good idea. You know what I mean? It just beggars belief. And the time for us to be demanding the next level is when we were winning matches. No, when we were losing matches. Because it just sounds like it's all in hindsight. It's so great. No, if you want to be the top of the tree, you need to keep on pushing.
Which we always have tried to push on the bus.
Keep pushing the boundaries. Keep pushing the expectations. I think the expectations. I mentioned it in summertime. We're in a gradual downsizing, like we saw under Stratton. But the only difference is
we don't know why.
£75 million a week.
Yeah, we don't know why.
I tell you what I think it is, and I don't think the board want to see the fan base demanding the next level of player, because if we start buying £6, £7, £8 million players as a matter of just par for the course, they need to start spending big money, boys.
They'll need to work hard, Mark. This is the best bit. They need to get out of their coasting situation they're in and go, how do we make this meet? It's meant to be a challenge to be at the top. The top dog at Celtic. It's meant to be difficult to go. We've invested in this player. We've invested in that player. The squad average wage rates went up there. This is going to be tricky. We need to negotiate tougher deals. We need to push the TV money. We need to push this. Right now, they just coast along because they've got a wage bracket that is less than it was 20 or similar to 20 years ago. Anyway, we're going to move the conversation on before we go, because the other hot topic is ticket allocation. Judge, it is hilarious that right now, whilst we may not be in a great run of form, the current buns across the road, you've got to love this. They win a few games in a row, and they are honestly apoplectic. And you're right to quote the fact they've qualified for Europe. They finished top of their group by hook or by crook, but they did. They also have a chance to go top of the SPFL potentially if they win their games in hand. I don't know how that's all going to go. But one of these things that really interests me about that lot is the Shitebag FC they want to throw at us. We all know Odson's Edward goal, ironically under Rodgers, is what ruined the whole spectacle of the Glasgow Derby, the Old Firm, whatever you want to call it. And that end the Celtic end was taken away. You spoke about it before. It's a safety issue massively. Why it's not right for Celtic to be taking such a small number of fans there. Celtic have played them at their own game. They've went, do you know what? You want to act like fannies and try and ban fans altogether or put silly wee percentages in where your fans can actually kind of, whilst they're also the impact of our away fans are going to be minimal, you can also actually violently threaten them. It's just nonsense. Right now, Celtic have called their bluff. They look ridiculous in this situation, in my opinion. Utterly ridiculous. There is a spectacle. Again, we talk about pushing boundaries, trying to get the best possible product out there or the most sellable product. Whether we like it or not, that derby gets viewed by more people than any other game that will happen in Scotland. Yet, I guarantee you view numbers are down since Rangers picked up their beach ball and fucked off. Rest assured of that. Where are you at with this now? Celtic have obviously banned it all outright. I know you prefer a bit there, but I just don't. I think when it's the numbers are that wee, the safety has to come first, particularly when it's our fans over there. That's what my main concern is, obviously. But I don't want anyone to be in tight corners, penned in. I mean, this is a club that was looking at getting nets involved in that, Mark, to try and maintain, just keeping it at this minimum amount of crowd. Nets to protect fans. That's you saying, tell me you've got a problem with your fans, but don't tell me put nets over the away ones. Fucking hell. I think it's went too far now. They either need to get to a realistic situation where it is back to what it was or close to, or it's just niche from now on. And we just accept it's going to be this weird silence if the away team score a goal.
Okay, that is weird. And I was there when Tavernier scored, and that is very weird. So, as Bhoyce saying, and it must be even worse when you lose a match. I mean, the Rangers fans sitting at Ibrox when Kyogo scored and won that match, that must have been a a bizarre encounter. You know what I mean? I hope to God we don't see it in December 30th. No, I don't understand it. I think when Celtic knocked back the tickets in September, we all knew this was coming. We all knew it was going to be the reverse fixture. Celtic would probably refuse them tickets. That was clear as day. So any suggestion that we're running scared now because of that, I'm not buying that. I think Celtic laid their marker when they refused the tickets. To be quite honest with you, I think the Nets, they knew Celtic were going to refuse that. They knew that Celtic were going to refuse any sort of form of ridicule with their fans that way, you know what I mean? But in saying that, this board hate the fan base. I'm surprised that they're going down this road.
Send them to Mordor.
Listen, the only fuck, send them to the bum, every one of them. But see, the thing is, the only thing this is going to change is if the SFA step in, and they've got jurisdiction because there's an article in the rule book that says that if two teams can't come to an agreement, well, the SFA can step in and dictate a reasonable allocation. That should have happened in summertime there. As soon as Celtic told them they want to go and take away tickets, because I'm sure that happened. That didn't happen the week before the Celtic Rangers match. That would have happened a long time before that, Bhoycie. Because they need to notify the police, they need to notify the council, they need to check, make sure there's no events in the city that day. These things need to be planned out months in advance, probably. So I'm pretty sure they knew they want to go and take tickets. So the SFA never stepped in. The Celtic Rangers have got too much power. That they're saying, "No, we'll deal with this ourselves." But the two of them are just too childish, fucking bored. You know what I mean? Too childish bored. So you get Rangers board who is probably as bitter and staunch as their own fan base, and you've got a Celtic board so disillusioned and so disenfranchised and so disconnected with the Celtic fan base that they don't know what's coming next. So it didn't add up for a good communication with each other. I think it was better. 7,000 at Ibrox. I used to go all the time. I loved it. It was the best games. And I liked seeing Rangers fans at Celtic Park and all. It's good to have somebody to shout at. It's good to have that visual. Even the away allocations in Europe. See if you give them 3,000 and we get 3,000 back. Fine, I'll take that. That's a big chunk. But Barcelona and Real Madrid, they put 1,000 fans up in tier 5 in the fixtures. You don't see the away fans at all on TV. Then they hamper their spectacle, I suppose. But
Is it described as one of the best derbies though? I think when you talk about the best derbies, I think, for me, I think we kid ourselves. So I think when you watch in terms of ferocity and all that, I think the Boca Juniors River Plate one, that's like, I thought it was what set us aside a bit was the fact that you had this atmosphere that every player that had played down in England that had went, spoke to a mate and I got a ticket. No one who's been up to see that derby, and I don't mean birthday card pish, they went and got a fright when they went to that game because they were like, fuck it, what is this? What is this? Is mad. I just think it's lost all that edge. And I really think it became because they tried to do anything they could to level up in a sporting context, which really using supporters as leverage in that is poor. The Daily Record Rangers podcast thing, I remember.
I think it was Michael Cairney said Rangers should ban the Celtic fans.
Aye, they pitched the idea.
And they went, oh, what an idea. And I don't think the two clubs have got on the same since they went bust. I think they see the Indians in Scotland did them a bad turn by letting them go bust and letting them start again. And so they're getting shoehorned into the top division. And I think anybody they deal with, they just deal with them with just pure contempt, you know what I mean? I don't think Celtic, their board are just inadequate in every single direction. They're inadequate. We're going to away games. There's no SLOs there. There's no proper forward security. And you turn up and there's people getting cattled into turnstiles, and it's dangerous. There's kids getting crushed up against adults. It's just an utter mess. The club haven't got an idea what they're doing, Bhoycie. They take, as far as they're concerned, it's purely transactional. That's it. It's transactional. You want your money, you want to give us it. There's no care. We've got one SLO with 54,000 season ticket holders, right? St Johnstone have got 2, and they've got less than 3,000 season ticket holders.
Aye, and about 10 folk at their games.
It's mad. You tell me. I mean, Rangers have probably got 100 of them. I mean, they probably have, because they've got a very vocal fan.
I wouldn't know.
No,
but yeah, I hear what you're saying though.
And that just shows you we've only got one because the only way to liaise with us is minimum as much as
probably true.
Because we'll put it this way, I've had a fan engagement email for Celtic for years. You used to get an email at the start of the season asking about your experience and all the rest of it, anything you want to improve. I've had one in for years. You get the main stand, people sit in the main stand paying.
Probably since you came on the bus.
Probably. But they didn't want to talk to me. I mean, and there's listen, I don't know if you've noticed this, boys, here that you've been talking to. There's been podcasts banned left, right, and centre just now because they've been vocal against the board. Left, right, and centre podcasts getting banned, getting told after the club not to come back. So thank God us for day one have made our points clear as we hate these. We think you're a shower of bastards. Don't come crawling to us to put out your stories about Eddie Howe and put out your stories about new books about Australia because we won't date for you. So we don't need to hide these and start.
Well, I don't watch the wee fella's show if you can call it a show now, his library.
I would call that Pravda.
He does. Right. He now, they guaranteed, even European games, it's always when I watch a Brendan presser, it's one of the wee fella's minions that get asked, and I'm always like, that tells me, not like just straight away, that whatever questions are being asked on his plenty of hours a week show, they can't be going direct, they can't be going studs up ever, because it's quite evident if you do go studs up, you lose that, let alone get promoted to being the only one getting asked a question at a presser from the fan media sort of corner. So, if to me, that's just that's sad when you end up like that, and it's all about a coin.
Well, we saw it, didn't we? We saw it. See, last year when everything was going good, we all said on this pod, we didn't hide. We says, just wait till things start going bad, and there'll be in a quagmire. They will come out and tell the truth.
You'll be either compromised. Yeah.
Compromised.
Compromise. You're right, pal.
And the ones that 4 times come out and says, "Fucking the boards are fannies, banned them." And they're not the only ones. There's a few being banned, by the way, for calling it out. But these are the same ones that they're probably phoning up and going like that. Look, there's news coming for the next 3 or 4 years. We need you to at least hear your side first.
Yep.
Put a spin on it. During COVID, the fan podcast had a massive sway on opinion because there was no outlet. The Celtic fans don't trust mainstream media. There was no games to go to. The only way you could communicate with other fans and watch other fans be as angry as what you were was to put on YouTube or put on Spotify and hear people like yourselves talk about it. And like Axom, that became big by speaking the hard truths. And the minute they got access, bang, it became
That change was
pizza
coming.
Ange.
That change was
Aye.
I was there. I watched it. That change. I'm just like, it's not about
As soon as Dominic phoned him, that was it.
everyone's moved on, but like you could see it was coming. Do you know what I mean? And he was getting fed piss too. I mean, remember, like, this is the guy that texted me saying Shevchenko was going to be new manager and that. Like, whoever's telling him that clearly was testing him. Do you know what I mean? When you look back, you're like, fuck it.
Say that.
He private texts me saying Shevchenko's linked to well, he should be the new manager. These are facts. I mean, I probably could still find it on my phone. Do you know what I mean? No wonder he turned disappearing messages on at some point. But aye. Anyway, hopefully, if that ban is the case, it means we get a lot of the boys back and a lot of and girls, and the podcast start, doing what they, picking up where they left off 2 years ago without the Ange umbrella there anymore. And if you've got something to say, have the courage of your convictions to fucking say it. Stay true to yourself. Don't be fucking bowed by you get to ask Callum McGregor a generic question about how hard he trains every day. Nobody cares, mate. If you're going to go behind the mic, you're going to talk Celtic, tell your truth. It's the best advice I could ever give anyone because it's far more refreshing. Listen, Mark, you are one of the best in the business at doing that. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. 194 is right now in the bus. Do give us a wee like if you've enjoyed it. If you've not, give us a wee thumbs down because they actually work for us as well. But yes, enjoy the rest of your night, peeps. The road will be rocky. It won't be rocky long. Keep your eyes on that board.